I'm JJ, and thank you so much for taking the time to visit my GoFundMe page. I am an artist, a musician, a writer, and lately I've been having a bit of a rough go of it. Some of you may know me from my iPhone being hacked. If not, yes, my iPhone was hacked. My screen and the cameras were live streamed on Twitter for several months. Which was horrifying. It was awful. During that time, which is part of the live stream, I lost my job. I've attempted to form collective bargaining for my coworker and I, which, you know, as it goes when it comes to our wondrous capitalistic system, they prompted instead to replace me. And other more intimate things were streamed as well, of a multitude of variety, because this is months. This is my literal entire life. All that only ended once I ended up throwing my iPhone in a trash can at a park that I frequent, so I had to change my number. It's been pretty gnarly. However, looking at the upside of it, the video ended up getting at least upwards to like 15 million views, and I am an aspiring artist, as I mentioned, so I thought, strike while the iron's hot. So I decided to take out a loan, invest in myself, and to go ahead and aspire for my dream, the old American dream. However, that's not how it turned out. One rainy day, I went to the park, and there were two assailants there that were sizing me up. One was adjusting his shirt and his pants, and he seemed to have a knife-shaped item under his clothing, and upon seeing me, he was startled. And then there was another dude that was literally dressed up as a ninja. He had a mask. It wasn't like a KN95 mask. It was a mask that seals like an egg. And very loud music playing. Louder than anyone at that park that I frequent ever had. Maybe to drown out noise. And after that, I actually ended up having a multitude of different cars tail me for blocks and blocks and blocks on end. Actually ended up running into another dude who tried to box me into a residential area by blocking off the exit. He was on a bike, and I tried to skirt to get around him, and he moved his bike in front of me, and then I ended up having to book it to drive away, and he kicked my car while he was boogieing. So I ran home, I grabbed one of my kitties, the other refused to come. Went from Ohio to Kentucky to Tennessee, all the way down to Atlanta, Georgia, where I actually ended up ditching my car, and it was towed, and I lived off of the land, off of raspberries and blackberries, and for it was like 4 days until eventually I lost one of my kitties. Her name is Ellie, and I'll have a picture up here. Let me know if you see her. She's in Atlanta. I imagine that she's probably, hopefully she's found someplace safe or a home. But if on the off chance you see her, I would love to be able to come grab her. But yeah, I ended up having to get an airplane trip back to Ohio, coming back to Atlanta on a bus to grab my car, which was towed, and then eventually got my car back. So quite the ordeal, and so far no one else has attempted to take my life or tail me, which is good. And as I said, it's been rough. It's been gnarly. Now the question, which I believe would be a fair one, might be why would so many people come after little me? I'm a delight. Well, I think I have the answer to world peace, which is gnarly. But that, of course, is a restructure of kind of the way that the powers that be and their profit motive. So I think that might be why. And let me give you kind of the summary of it, because built into this is, of course, the hopes that not only would you be investing in me, but you would be investing in this idea as a concept for we, the human species as a whole, to have hope again and find balance. So when my phone was being hacked, I felt religiously compelled it was the Taurus moon, which is about a few days around my birthday, to give a pitch for an idea I had rolling around in my head called Human Species Doctrine. And this is the general premise. We as people are fallible. Perhaps you agree. We make mistakes, we sin. With the same logic, things that we make, being art, technology, business, and governments, inherit those same imperfections and sins. And, perhaps the best evidence in regards to imperfections the way shit is right now, it's gnarly. We of course have global warming, which is heating us into a broil. We are quickly drying up when it comes to water, and humanity is borderline nearing doom in regards to not only that, but with deforestation. We also have non-stop, constant, perpetual wars and bombing, and we have the cold, hot war ongoing when it comes to Ukraine and Russia, where we have nuclear powers that are inherently questioning one another. It's rough. The way that things are run are, I think it's fair to say, leading us to, extinction. What's the fix? What's the fix for it? It's what we're all desperately hoping for, looking for, longing for. We long for hope again. I think this is it. A global democracy of every single human being run by the United Nations. The United Nations houses nearly all governments. You bring in the two holdouts, which are, I believe, only the Vatican and Israel, and then have every human being be able to vote on issues directly. The majority of the votes win, how democracy works, and is implemented through the UN voting system, trickling down to all governments for them to enact. A global democracy where we, the people, are able to vote directly on the issues, bypassing any corrupted officials. And specifically, I think there are three prominent issues that we need to vote on that I believe would unite us as a human species, and that we all would collectively long to pass. Number one, no human being may kill another human being. If we as a human species agree and vote this in through the United Nations, all governments would have to abide. That then means there would be no national or state killings of either their own or other civilians, being the governments. That then brings an end to war, which means world peace. And not a bad idea. Number two, all humans must be guaranteed the right to live in equality. This would mandate a right to shelter, a right to nutritious food for sustenance, a right to clean, drinkable water, a right to medical treatment, and a right to equal opportunity and education for all humans. Number three, all ecosystems and living organisms within them must be maintained for survival of all organisms of the planet. We must maintain the needed amount of water, of forests, of plants, of animals, of fungi, of insects, and any other living creature, any living environment living within these ecosystems for the survival of all species. We also must make certain all animals currently on the extinction list become repopulated. I like water. I like food. I like forests. I like flowers. I just generally enjoy living. It seems like we should maybe make sure that we have a habitable planet where we all can live. That seems like a good idea. Manufacturing is global. Trade is global. Travel is global. War is global. The destruction of our environments is global. The murder, basically the genocide of all animals and insects, global. We make governing global through a direct democracy through the United Nations, which then allows us to be able to vote directly on issues, and again for them to implement said issues through the governments that are a part of said United Nations. But of course we must have leverage. So what is the leverage? If any single government doesn't enact that which is voted upon by the human species, we have a global strike. Yes, a global strike which would unify us when it comes to our power as a humanity, and it would force that government to start up, if not just by their entire system breaking down, but by other governments wanting to be able to function. And they then would pressure that government to function. That is where we hold the power, through our unity as a human species together. So that is a summary of the Human Species Doctrine, which I wholeheartedly believe would bring world peace, and I am in the midst of working on it and writing it, but I am, at this point, broke, and my loan is gone due to the running for the bills, and I'm still unemployed. So I could use some help. So here's my proposition. I will have just so much stuff for you on September 23rd, 2023 on the Equinox. So number one thing I'll have is the Human Species Doctrine will be written. It'll be free on my website in ebook and audio format. It may be other places just because I want it to be distributed, but also it'll be on YouTube. Most importantly, I just want the information to be accessible for all of us. And there will be a recommended date when it comes to humanity ultimately performing a strike to state that we want to have the democracy. I'll also be recording a rock album. Which will be thematic for the Human Species Doctrine. I already have it pretty much mostly written. I just need to record it. It'll be free on YouTube, and then I do plan for it to be on Spotify as well as Apple Music. I actually do have an ongoing series I started about a couple months ago called Java Shop. I've had to take a couple weeks break again due to the manhunt, but it will be starting up again this coming Wednesday, which is July 12th. So if I recommend, give that a try, give it a go. And on that day, I'll have my own personal site, store, social media, and Patreon all ready to boogie. So my inherent business and business structure will launch on that date as well. And the store will include some merch for the Human Species Doctrine, specifically just kind of like t-shirts, things of that nature, to be able to help spread the word of what I think will be the cause to maybe change it all. So all that will be on, again, the Equinox, September 23rd. 2023, that it'll launch. Of the 15 million views that had watched my live stream, if you watch some of it, maybe consider throwing a little bit of coinage my way for the unsolicited video that streamed if you got any enjoyment out of it. If you enjoy the concept of world peace, then perhaps invest in someone who's trying to bring it. Or if you just want to help a dude achieve his dreams, which currently most prominently right now is retaining a roof over his head, to be able to help house him and his cat, I would greatly appreciate it. If you can donate, it's really, really appreciated. If not, if you could spread the word, I would really appreciate it. Most of all, I appreciate you spending some time with me. I hope that you're well, and so much love to you. Take care.